Hello and welcome to another video from Dapol Rail. So we have another 15 minutes of modeling video. Today is Sunday, December 1st, and you might recognize this part of the layout. It's Chippenham Junction. It's part of the original first phase of the layout, and it's actually connected to the rest of the layout, and I'll show you that in a minute. So today I'm just doing something a little bit different. First of all, if you're looking for the last 2 days worth of videos, so the 15 minutes modeling on Friday and Saturday, those videos don't exist. And the reason they don't exist is I decided to take my time that I was going to use for modeling to take on a bigger project that I really just needed to get done. And one thing that you might notice is this part of the layout looks a lot brighter than it has in previous videos, and the reason for that is I've installed a significant amount of lighting over here. So I'll show you that in a minute, and you can sort of see exactly what I did. Now that project took about 2 hours to complete, so it really ate up the modeling time that I had set aside, but I thought it was something that had to be done, and I really wanted to use this part of the layout for the advent calendar videos. So in this video I'm going to kind of just give you a walkthrough of what I've done, and also give you a quick behind the scenes look at the advent calendar videos. So if all goes to plan, you won't actually see this video until December 2nd or December 3rd, and it'll come out after the second advent calendar video. So if you happen to be watching this video and you haven't seen either of the advent calendar videos and you want it to be a bit of a surprise, stop watching now. I'll put a card into the first video now, and go over, check that out, check the second one out, and then the end screen to the second one will take you back to this video and you can check it out. If you don't care, or you've already watched those videos, then you'll get to see those logos again in this part of the layout. Alright, so this is actually Chippenham Junction, and you can see here we've got this shed. Now, this shed is by Scale Scenes, and it's a card kit that I put together quite some time ago, and it's all 3D. It's all printed on the laser printer. So if I move things around a little bit this way, you can sort of see the shed. So it's a 2-engine shed. I think it's 2 sections back to back. The glass here was printed on transparency paper, the stuff that you know, if you're over the age of 20, you probably are familiar with overhead projectors in school, so you'll be familiar with transparency paper. Basically, it's laser printed onto transparency paper and then cut out, and it works really well. And then the rest of it is just paper that was printed out and then glued onto various thickness of cards, from 0.5 millimeter to 1 millimeter, depending on the piece that I was doing. It's kind of got drain pipes and so on here as well. And it's a really good kit, and I think it's a couple of pounds. It's worth the download. John at Scale Scenes does a fantastic job with his kits. I'm always very impressed with them. Another kit, if I take the camera back over here and just pan it to the station building here. This is their medium station building, and again, it's been printed out on a laser printer. Same deal with the transparency paper. I added these steps with some cocktail sticks. The only thing I will say is that the chimneys, after a couple of years, have sort of fallen off, and that may be the thickness of paper I used. Same with the windowsills, they're like a little fragile. So I think those I'll end up 3D printing. Some things that happened over the years, like you can see here, the paper part has just kind of come away because of the glue, and that's easily fixed. I'll take care of that with a glue stick here in a little bit. But I had the same problem with the shed as well up here, but that's not a big deal. I will 3D print the replacement chimney stacks. And if I pan the camera over to the right here, you will see that I also happen to have one of their good sheds, and it's a pretty slick kit as well. Same kind of deal. So yeah, so when I first did this part of the layout, I was on a bit of a Scale Scenes binge, and a lot of their very good kits and texture packs and so on make out a good section as part of the layout. Now I will be redoing parts of this layout. I'll be definitely keeping these kits because they took a long time to build, and they're definitely pretty slick, so I'm gonna keep them. There's no reason to replace them. The signal over here is a trainset 2 aspect signal. It's actually wired up currently to a breadboard, so I can do this. If I get out here, I can actually switch from red to green manually, like so, and I can switch it back from green to red, like this. And it's just wired into a breadboard. But yeah, so this is basically what I've been doing for the last couple of days, is sort of cleaning this part of the layout up and getting it ready for more advent calendar videos. Now I will be using the other section of the layout too towards closer to Christmas time, but I'm currently working on some projects over there, so I kind of want to keep that under wraps until it's done. This part of the layout does need a lot of work. It's been kind of neglected. Once I did this section of layout, I decided to build the extension, and of course it kind of grew. So if I take the camera, you can sort of see the camera this way, but you can sort of see there's the other section of layout. I don't show too much of it since there's some stuff going on there. But basically, there's a third rail line. It's over there by the class 37 on the left hand side of the boiler house over there, and that connects the two sections of the layout. There will be an elevated section that goes through here that also connects that section of the layout as well. Alright, so what I'm going to do next is take the camera here. If you look through the tunnel, that's where I do a lot of the setup and stuff for the advent calendar videos. So we're going to head over there and give you guys a look. Okay, so we're over through the tunnel and just over on the other side. So if I turn the camera around this way, you'll sort of see the tunnel section was down there. And here we actually have the coaches from the Thames Clyde Express, and we've got D6714 over here. So this is a class 37/0. It's split head coach from Bachmann. It's a very nice model, very cool, and we'll see how AccuScale do. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the options from AccuScale as well to add to the 37s. But anyway, so this section of the layout, this is actually just over a foot wide, and early on when I designed the layout, I was basically trying to make it fit into this space. And this space is like a 4-foot hallway. It was originally designed, it's part of my basement, it was originally designed as an access way into a kind of a photo studio area that my wife was using at the time. And since she stopped doing the photo studio stuff, I kind of reclaimed the access hallway originally for the layout. It was something that was never being used. Sometimes the dogs were in here, but other than that, it really wasn't being used. So I started off with this one section through here, and it worked out pretty well. I saw some photos when I was trying to figure out the scenics for this of Sydney Gardens and all the kind of bridges and the trains going through there, and always looked really cool. So I kind of based this loosely off of that. Now I originally went with these kind of printed walls. This is like printed on photo paper. I got some photos online. I think somebody hooked me up with some kind of face-on photos, and they worked out pretty well. They look pretty okay in some of the shots, but in person they're a little shoddy now compared to what you can do these days. So a few years ago, the guys at Scale Scenes came out with a texture, and this is the texture sheet for the Sydney Gardens. And so I was tempted to use this, but in the past couple of weeks, Hatchbox, which is a company that creates 3D printed filament, they came out with this new magic, as they're calling it, PLA filament, but it actually prints with a texture that looks very much like brick or concrete or this sort of, that kind of stone type material. And it's very, very good. I was very impressed with the samples that I 3D printed the last couple of days. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull all of these walls out except for maybe the first section of wall and replace it with some flat walls that are 3D printed. And the interesting thing too is the brickwork at Sydney Gardens is actually larger. You can see here this is a larger brickwork than your standard 00 scale brickwork. So I think it'll be easy enough to 3D print the actual bricks in place. And of course, that means I can kind of texture it better and so on. So I'm looking forward to taking on that project probably in the new year. So anyway, this section of the layout, I'm going to show you the lights here in a minute, but I thought I'd just show you kind of a quick behind the scenes what we do. So when it's time to swap out a loco, I actually do this by hand back here, but I will uncouple these, and I could probably use a tool, but I've been doing this by hand for years. And so I've removed this loco. So I'm going to put the loco clear on the other side, where I can put it in the shed where the other one was. So let's move it away. So it's making its way around the layout, so when it gets over the other side here in a second, I'll go and stop it. And then what we're going to do next is put the new loco for the next video in place. Okay, so the Class 37's made its way around there, and the next loco is a Coronation class. And it's a very nice model from Hornby, actually. This one I picked up secondhand. Well, I don't think I picked it up second. It was like brand new, but it was on eBay, and it was marked down. And this is 46,256. Now, one of the things I do with the advent calendar video, so I'm not like swapping out rolling stock every video, is I try to use the coaches again if I can, and so that's where we kind of got a BR maroon theme going on here today. Now, one of the first things I'll do, and thankfully it's a lot brighter over here now, is I'll check to make sure that there's no hair. So like right here, there's a loose hair from a cat or a dog or something. Even though they're in the basement and the cats and dogs don't really come down here very often, I don't think the cats ever come down here, you still get the thing in the atmosphere, so you have to kind of just check for it. And it's always fun because, you know, stray cat hair, stray dog hair can totally ruin your video. And when you go through to edit it and discover, you know, there's big gaping white cat hair or dog hair attached to the loco, and you gotta start over. So anyway, so here we got 46,256. So if you haven't already seen the December 2nd video, I may have just shown you what the loco is going to be. But hopefully, by the time you see this, the December 2nd video will already be out. You can sort of see there's a cat hair I've just taken off the loco. So what I'll normally do is I'll run this around the layout a few times to make sure nothing's going to derail. And then we'll go ahead and film up the videos. So I normally put the camera in different locations. So right now I've got this GoPro Hero 7. So I might put the camera on this other track here facing this way. I might put it up here facing down. Okay, so this is the very end of the layout. There is a 4-foot section of the board. This is actually the curve at the end here, and the where I was just filming is over there. And so this is actually a station area, and it was originally designed to be kind of a large kind of station for a couple of smaller trains. So the idea was that I could have a steam loco or diesel loco with 3 or 4 Mach 1 coaches, that I could get some DMUs and EMUs over on this side. And it was these 3 lines, I think, over here on this side are connected to the 3rd rail line. And so the idea was to have like a large station canopy, something similar to like the scale scenes large station building with the canopy. And I've actually built some of it, and then to put the large station building here on the side. And this was supposed to be sort of loosely modeled on a Green Park station in Bath to sort of tie in with the other part of the station. So this is still a project I'm going to do. However, when I started to work on it, you know, the actual canopy for the scale scene stuff was getting really out of hand, and I decided there's got to be a better way to do it. So I'm actually using transparent PETG to 3D print the canopy and the platforms, and the platforms are actually being printed with PLA, and then we'll come up with a design for the 3D printed building that might be a little bit closer to Green Park Station. So this is going to be a long-term project. I'll probably dedicate some time to it, but I thought I'd let you guys take a look at it. Another thing too is it's important to know that planning part of your layout is always, you know, still modeling, right? So it's always a good idea to kind of keep that in mind. All right, so the project that took me about 2 hours to do, if you look right up here, you'll see there's a steady stream of lights. Now, these lights are LED lights, and they're interconnected, right? So they have this little plastic connector that joins them together. So if you look roughly about there, there's a 4-foot section one, and then the one on behind it is 2 feet. And so the 4-foot section one's actually the only one that's connected to the electrical supply. I took out the original light bulb and light bulb socket and wired in that particular module, and then everything else is plugged into it by DC. So there's a 2-foot one plugged in the far side, and then there's 2 4-foot ones plugged in this side. So for a grand total of 14 feet or so, I think it is. It's 4, 8, 12, yeah. So about 14 feet of lighting, and that has completely changed this whole section of the layout. This part of the layout used to be really, really dark. If you ever watched any of my videos, they kind of looked more like this. If actually I pan the camera this way, the videos looked more like this, and even this is still brighter than what you saw over when I filmed it over there. So hopefully having the extra light, which was an important project, and it took me about, I'd say, maybe 45 minutes to install the first one because there was some wiring issues, and also the receptacle that you mount the light bulb or mount the lighting system into was rotated 90 degrees the wrong way. So I had to go and be a little creative with how I attached it to the ceiling. The other stuff went in pretty quick. I think it took about 20 to 30 minutes for each one. I just kind of took my time in between to make sure that they worked okay. The trick with it is to make sure that when you plug one in, you make sure that it works before you move on to the next one. Otherwise, you'll have a big mess to troubleshoot. One thing is this wall that clear goes all the way to the end there. It's about 20 feet long. And so I'm actually currently 3D printing the retaining walls for that. So I will start to put those in, and as we go through the month of December, you'll sort of see more of those walls get added in, and hopefully you guys will like the look of it. So this part of the layout that you're looking at right now, and kind of light is kind of flickering back and forth, I think, because of the GoPro. But basically it's about a 16-foot length, and it was the original part of the double rail layout. If you ever look at some of the early videos, you'll see the stuff area on the right and this section as well. And it's exactly 4 foot wide. So it's this section here from the wall to the edge is 2 feet, and then the whole length of it is 4 foot. So I've got a 4 foot section at this end, and then most of it's 2 feet and a foot on the other side with a foot gap in between. All the track here is mostly recycled. So it's some Pico Flex track that I bought, but a lot of the curves and so on are all Hornby 3rd and 4th radius curves that I've recovered off of train sets or ones that I had. A lot of point work, and some of the track even is some of the original steel track that I had when I was a kid. So it's interesting. All right, so there's some American stuff in here too. I think some of the points, there's a few Atlas points, some brass stuff, and it's basically whatever I could cobble together. And it was mainly before Hatton started to do the DHL 2-day shipping. So once Hatton started doing the DHL shipping, I was able to buy stuff a lot cheaper from the UK than I could here in the States. So it's looking pretty nice. All right, so that's it for today's 15 minutes modeling. It's probably been about 15 minutes, but not really a whole lot of modeling, but you did get to see my light project, the Dapol modeling time. And one of the coolest things is, now that the lights are in, I can do a lot more little small modeling projects on this section of the layout. So hopefully we'll see it take shape over the next couple of weeks and couple of months. All right, so that's it for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and until next time.